So I'm in Taipei for the Asian premiere of Logan, and I'm about to speak to Sir Patrick Stewart, Charles Xavier, and Jean-Luc Picard himself. He's played these two characters for the better part of 30 years now, and I'm going to ask him what it's like to give that all up. Come with me. Let me start with coming to an end of an era, in the sense that almost exactly for 30 years you've portrayed two of the biggest characters in pop culture. First with Jean-Luc Picard and now with Charles Xavier. What has that been like, and how difficult or easy a decision was it to just say, all right, this is the end of that?
Well, in 1987, when I was cast in Star Trek as Jean-Luc Picard, basically, if you hadn't followed the Royal Shakespeare Company, or occasionally watched BBC Two, you would have never heard my name. That all changed in 1987 when I went to play Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek The Next Generation. It changed everything about my life. Everything, not a corner, was left undisturbed by that experience. And it was fairly chaotic for a while, but then it settled down and it's become something that I've embraced with gratitude, the opportunities that gave me. And then, lo and behold, I find that Bryan Singer is sitting over a lunch table opposite me, inviting me to be in not something a million miles away from Star Trek, fantasy rather than science fiction. And it all began again. So I feel immense gratitude to have had these opportunities, because I wouldn't be talking to you, not a European journalist, but a journalist from Malaysia, if all that had not happened. And so now there is a worldwide knowledge of who Patrick Stewart is. And nevertheless, all good things have to come to an end. And it became clear to me long after I knew that Hugh Jackman had said this would be his last X-Men Wolverine movie. At the Berlin Film Festival a week ago, as the movie was finishing, the realization floated into my head: there can be no more perfect and appropriate way to say goodbye than this movie, Logan, which I admire so much. It's a movie that there are no other movies I'm more proud to have been in than this one.
I've seen it and I couldn't agree more. It's absolutely brilliant. And from everything I've read and from everything you've said about your roles, both as Captain Picard and as Charles Xavier, it's never been a chore for you.
No, it has never been a chore, because I've been working with people, particularly writers, who have always been exploring, pushing the boundaries of what we had done before further and further, introducing new elements into the character. And that comment brings us right up to Logan, because new elements would be an understatement about the transformation of our two superheroes with their mutant powers than this movie. Everything has changed. They are the same people. In my case, just recognizably the same person, but their world has been transformed. And that's where we begin, this already existing transformation of their environment, their natures, their personalities.
Bryan Singer, I don't think, gets enough credit for what he did with the X-Men franchise. We talk about Marvel and Iron Man right now, but actually he was the guy who really set it along this path. And there's one thing he tapped into from the comic books in that first movie, which was this father-son dynamic between Charles and Logan, which we see really play out in this film. Could you talk to me about that?
Yeah, you're right. And it is quite appropriate that you should mention Bryan Singer. He, responding to the script of which he was party to, he identified this relationship. Charles was the one person who knew about Logan's past, the damage that had been done to him, the difficulties that he had experienced. So there was a special relationship there from the very beginning. That special relationship developed over 5 movies, and now we see them together and alone. It would appear there are no more X-Men. These are the last 2, perhaps. And they depend on one another. Charles depends on Logan totally. The father figure roles have been reversed. And now I am actually carried to bed and
right.
put to bed in Logan's arms in this movie.
Well, thank you very much, Sir Patrick. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I'm sorry it has to be so brief. Thank you.
So much. Thank you so much for watching that. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Don't forget to catch our full review of Logan only on At the Movies every Friday at 6 p.m. BFM 89.9.